Hello students, my name is Niyati Said and thanks for watching Edupedia Word videos. My topic for the presentation is the next section of the chapter Neural Control and Coordination. In this section of the presentation, we'll be studying about the structure of human ear. The ears are the sensory organs that are involved in hearing, as well as in maintenance of body equilibrium. Anatomically, the ear is composed of three divisions, namely external ear, middle ear and inner ear. Outer ear, middle ear and inner ear. Okay? So the auditory system is comprised of three components. First is outer, second is middle and third is inner, all of which work together to transfer sound from the environment to the brain. That means sound enters from the outer ear and then it is transmitted to the inner ear. Okay? So they all the three sections or the three components of the auditory system, they work in conjugation with each other and they work together to transfer sound from the environment to the brain. First, we'll be studying about the outer or the external ear in detail first, okay, and then middle and inner ear. So let's proceed. See, this is the anatomy and the physiology of ear. Ear has three bones, malleus, incus and stapes, that connects eardrum to inner ear. What is that? We'll study, okay? But for the time being, just know that there are three bones are present in the ear. And which are those three bones? Malleus, incus and stapes. Okay, and please note that apart from hearing, the function of ear is to maintain a balance or to maintain body equilibrium. Okay, and that's why it has a nerve of hearing balance. Okay, and this is the organ of hearing which we call it as cochlea. And this is the Eustachian tube that connects middle ear to nose. That means our nose is connected with the middle component of the ear, that is middle ear. Okay, so this is our outer ear that consists of ear canal and eardrum. Middle ear, okay. So middle ear that contains three tiny bones which we call it as ossicles, and they are malleus, incus and stapes, which are the three bones. Okay, and then comes our inner ear. Inner ear, they are present three semicircular ducts, anterior, posterior and lateral semicircular ducts. Okay, that cochlea and all. So first we'll be studying about the outer or the external ear in detail. So the external ear consists of pinna. What is this? This is pinna. Okay, the outer structure of the ear. So this is the part of our outer ear. Outer ear, apart from pinna, it consists of ear canal and eardrum. Okay. Pinna is made up of very elastic cartilage with skin covering. As you can see that it consists of skin covering. Okay, and it is made up of elastic cartilage. And it collects sound waves coming from the environment. The external auditory canal is the circular tube which leads inside to the eardrum. This is the eardrum. Okay. Eardrum is also known as tympanum. And please note that the skin of pinna, see, this is the skin of the pinna, it contains or you can say the skin of the pinna contains fine hairs and wax which is secreted by ceruminous glands. And this eardrum, it is also known as tympanum. It is formed of connective tissue having outer skin cover and inner mucous membrane. Now, what is the function of the external ear? So, what is the function of external ear, that is this outer ear? The pinna, it collects sound waves, and the external auditory canal, it directs them to the tympanum. What is tympanum? Tympanum is your eardrum. So, your external auditory canal, this is your canal, ear canal, it directs the sound which is collected by the pinna to the tympanum or eardrum. Okay. Now, another function of the external ear is that the hair and the wax which is secreted by ceruminous glands, they prevent the entry of small insects, dust particles, microbes, and subsequent infections. So, this is the function of the external ear. That is, it consists of pinna, our ear canal, which we call it as auditory canal, okay, and third is eardrum. Okay, so let's see once again that the outer ear, it includes the portion of the ear that we see. Pinna, okay, the outer body of the ear is known as pinna. That is also known as auricle. Okay. Now, after pinna or auricle is a concave cartilaginous structure. As I have told you that it is made up of elastic cartilage with skin covering. So, it is a concave cartilaginous structure which collects and directs sound wave traveling in air into the ear canal or the external auditory meatus. External auditory meatus is also known as ear canal. They both are same, so don't get confused. Ear canal and external auditory meatus, they both are same. So, ear canal, what is ear canal? Ear canal, see, I'm showing you what is ear canal. This region is your ear canal and this is your eardrum. So, ear canal or the external auditory meatus is approximately 1.25 inches long and 0.25 inch in diameter. Okay, so what's the length of the ear canal? It is around 1.25 inches long and 0.25 inch in diameter. That means that is that thick, 0.25 inch that thick. Okay. The inner 2/3 of the inner ear canal is embedded into the temporal bone. And the outer 1/3 of the canal is cartilaginous. Ear canal, it directs airborne sound wave towards the tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane, what is that? Eardrum. And the ear canal, it resonates sound wave and increases the loudness of the tone in the 3000 to 4000 Hertz range. Ear canal, it maintains a proper condition of temperature and humidity which is necessary to preserve the elasticity of the tympanic membrane. As I have told you that pinna contain fine hairs and a wax which we call it as cerumen, which is secreted by ceruminous glands. So, gland which produce cerumen, that is ear wax, and the tiny hair in the ear canal provided added protection against insects, dust particle, foreign particles from damaging the tympanic membrane. What is tympanic membrane? Tympanic membrane is eardrum. So don't get confused with the tympanum and eardrum. Okay. So this was all about the external ear. Now what are the functions of the external ear? Functions is that, as we know that the external ear is consists of pinna, your ear canal and eardrum. So function of external ear is that the pinna collects sound waves and external auditory canal directs them to the eardrum, that is tympanum. And the second function of external ear is the hair and the wax secreted by ceruminous gland prevent the entry of small insects, dust particles, microbes and subsequent infections. Okay. See, this is the pinna, okay, this is the ear canal, and this is the tympanic membrane, which we call it as eardrum. So these three, tympanic membrane, ear canal and pinna, they are the parts of external ear. Okay. Now we move on to the middle ear that contains ossicles, that is malleus, incus and stapes, which are the three bones of the middle ear. That means it consists of chain of the three tiny bones, which we call it as ossicles. From outer to inner, they are called as malleus bone, incus bone and stapes bone. Malleus bone, this one is the malleus bone. It is connected to the tympanum at its outer end. Okay, that means malleus is connected with the eardrum, that is your tympanum membrane. Okay, while stapes, this is stapes. Okay, this is stapes. It is connected to the oval window of the internal ear. See, this is oval window. This is the stapes. Okay. So, stape is connected to the oval window of the internal ear. The transmission of sound waves from external auditory canal to the internal ear occurs due to ear ossicles, that is your bones, ear bones, that is malleus, incus and stapes. And Eustachian tube, it is somewhere here. This is Eustachian tube. Eustachian tube is present in the middle ear. It is a component of middle ear. It is not a component of inner ear. Okay, and it connects the middle ear to the pharynx, and it helps in equalizing the air pressure on either side of the tympanic membrane. That means here and here, this side and this side. So it maintains pressure on either side of the tympanic membrane. Who is responsible? Eustachian tube. This is Eustachian tube. Okay. Okay. Now what's the function of middle ear? Tympanic membrane functions as a resonator, and it produces the vibration of the sound, and it transmits the sound wave to the middle ear. See, from tympanic membrane, the sound waves, they are transmitted to the inner ear, right? So it transmits the sound waves to the middle ear. And the ear ossicles, these are the malleus, incus and stapes, which are the three bones, which we also call it as ossicles. Ossicles, they act as levers, and they increase the intensity of sound wave, that is amplification of sound by 20 times. However, the frequency of sound remain unchanged. Okay. So let's see. Middle ear. Middle ear, it is composed of tympanic membrane and a cavity which houses the ossicular chain. And which are ossicular chain? Ossicles are malleus, incus and stapes. So first we'll study tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane is also known as eardrum. This is your eardrum. Okay. And it serves as a divider between outer ear and the middle ear structure. As you can see, this is the outer ear and this is the middle ear. So it acts as a divider between outer ear and middle ear structure. It is grey-pink in color when healthy, and it consists of 3 very thin layers of living tissue. The eardrum is very sensitive to sound waves. This is eardrum, and it is very sensitive to sound wave. and it vibrates back and forth as the sound wave strikes it. That means eardrum, it moves towards forth and back, you can say. Okay, and the eardrum, it transmits the airborne vibrations from the outer to the middle ear, and it also assists, or it also help in the protection of delicate structure of the middle ear cavity and inner ear. Okay, so this is the first component of the middle ear. Now, second component of middle ear is middle ear cavity. What is middle ear cavity? Middle ear cavity is located in the mastoid process of the temporal bone. It is somewhere here, you can say. Okay, the middle ear cavity extends from tympanic membrane to the inner ear. See, this is somewhere here. Okay, and it is approximately 2 cubic centimeter in volume, and it is lined with mucous membrane. Middle ear cavity is actually an extension of the nasopharynx via Eustachian tube. See, this is Eustachian tube, this purple color. And what Eustachian tube do? It is present in the middle ear, which connect the middle ear with the pharynx. And Eustachian tube, it helps in equalizing the air pressure on either side of the tympanic membrane. So the middle ear cavity is actually an extension of the nasopharynx via Eustachian tube, you can say. Okay. Now comes Eustachian tube. What is this? This is your Eustachian tube. Okay, and this is the third component of the middle ear. The Eustachian tube, as I have told you, that it acts as an air pressure equalizer, and it ventilates the middle ear. Normally, the tube is closed but opens while chewing or swallowing. That means when we chew or when we swallow anything, then this Eustachian tube, it becomes open. Okay, but normally this Eustachian tube is closed. When the Eustachian tube opens, the air pressure between outer and the middle ear is equalized. That means when we chew anything, then the Eustachian tube becomes open. This Eustachian tube, it becomes open, and air pressure between outer ear and the middle ear, it becomes equalized. Now the transmission of sound through the eardrum is optimal when the air pressure is equalized between the outer and the middle ear. That means transmission of sound will take place when the air pressure is equalized between outer and the middle ear. Then only transmission of sound will take place. Now when the air pressure between the outer and the middle ear is unequal, the eardrum is forced outward or inward, causing discomfort, and ability of eardrum to transmit sound is reduced. That means when the equilibrium is not established between outer ear and the middle ear, then eardrum, this tympanic membrane, this eardrum is forced outward and inward. Okay, and it causes discomfort to the body of the human, and ability of the eardrum to transmit sound is also reduced. Okay, so these were the three components of the middle ear. Now the fourth component of the middle ear is ossicular chain. Ossicular chain means ear bone chain. There are 3 ear bones which we call it as ossicles: malleus, incus and stapes. See, malleus is attached to the tympanic membrane, incus is this one, and this is stapes. Stapes is the smallest bone of the human body. Okay, please note that stapes is the smallest bone present in the human body. Now we'll study the ossicular chain. Chain means it is an aggregate of 3 bones, that is malleus and incus and stapes. So the middle ear is connected and transmits sound to the inner ear via ossicular chain, that is malleus, incus and stapes. And what does these three bones do? These three bones, they amplify a signal approximately 25 decibels. Decibel is a unit of sound. So it amplifies a signal approximately 25 decibels as it transfers signal from tympanic membrane to the inner ear. That means from here to the inner ear. Okay. Now the ossicular chain consists of three smallest bone, malleus, incus and stapes. But please note that these three bones are the smallest bones of the human body, but stapes is the most smallest bone of the body. Okay. So first is your malleus. Malleus is attached to the tympanic membrane. This is your tympanic or the eardrum. Malleus bone is attached to your eardrum, and incus is somewhere between stapes and malleus. This is your incus. And there are two muscles which are found attached to these bones. Attached to the ossicular chains, there are two tiny muscles. Stapedius. Stapedius is a muscle which is connected with the stapes bone. This is the stapes bone and it is connected with your stapes bone. Okay. And second muscle is your tensor tympani muscle. Okay. These muscles, they contract to protect the inner ear by reducing the intensity of sound transmission to the inner ear from external sound and vocal transmission. Otherwise, our ear will lose the ability of hearing if these muscles will not protect the inner ear by reducing the intensity of sound transmission, okay, from the external sounds and vocal transmissions. Okay, so these were the four components of the middle ear. Now what are the functions of the middle ear? First is tympanic membrane that functions as resonator and it produces the vibration of the sound. It transmits the sound wave to the middle ear. Second, the ear ossicle, they act as levers and they increase the intensity of sound waves and they amplify the sound by 20 times. However, the frequency of sound remains unchanged. Okay, so these are the two functions of middle ear. Now comes the inner ear. Inner ear is composed of the sensory organ for hearing, that is cochlea, as well as for balance the vestibular system. That means cochlea is responsible for hearing, whereas vestibular system, it is for balance, for maintaining balance. Okay, see, this is cochlea. Okay, this is your cochlea, which is responsible for the hearing purpose. Okay, please note that cochlea and vestibular system, they are separate, yet both are encased in the same bony capsules and they share the same fluid system. So first we'll study about the vestibular or balance system. Okay, so the balance part of the ear is referred to as vestibular apparatus. It is composed in part of three semicircular canals which is located within the inner ear. These are semicircular canals. These are semicircular canals. Okay. See, this is malleus, this is incus, and this is stapes. Okay, this is the stape which is attached with the oval window, which we call it as semicircular canal. Okay, so the vestibular system, it helps to maintain balance regardless of head position or gravity in conjunction with the eye movement. That means when we just move our head, or you can say that regardless of the head position, this vestibular system, it maintains balance in our body. If balance is not maintained, then we might feel dizzy, okay, or giddy at times. So the balance is maintained by the vestibular apparatus, which is a component of inner ear. Okay. Now the second is cochlea. This is cochlea, okay. This is cochlea, a snail-like structure, and which is responsible for the hearing purpose. It is a spiral shaped and it is similar to the shape of a snail. Now the cochlea is composed of 3 fluid-filled chambers that extend the length of the structure. The 2 outer chambers, they are filled with fluid called as perilymph. Perilymph, what does it do? It acts as cushioning agent for the delicate structures and that occupy the central chamber. That means fluid is filled in this cochlea, okay, and that fluid is your perilymph that acts as cushioning agent, okay. Now perilymph is connected to the cerebrospinal fluid that surrounds the brain and the spinal column, okay, which I have already taught you in my previous section of the presentation. And the third fluid filled chamber is the central chamber, which we call it as Cochlea Duct, okay. So these are the ducts which we call it as Cochlea Duct. Cochlea Duct fluid is filled, which we call it as third fluid, okay. Now the Cochlea Duct, it secretes a fluid called as endolymph, which fills this chamber, okay. Now comes the third component of the internal ear, which we call it as organ of Corti, okay. Now organ of Corti, what does it do? It is a sensory organ which is essential to hearing process, okay, and it consists of approximately 30,000 finger-like projections of cilia that are arranged in rows, okay. See, this is the organ of Corti and it has numerous hair-like projection. This green color line is your organ of Corti, okay. And each hair cells is connected to the nerve fiber that relays various impulses to the cochlear branch of the 8th cranial nerve. 8th cranial nerve is also known as auditory nerve. So the pitch of the impulse is dependent upon which area of the basilar membrane. See, this is the basilar membrane, dark green color one. This is the basilar membrane, and hence which portion of the organ of Corti are stimulated. Okay, so organ of Corti is a sensory organ which is essential to hearing, you can say, okay. So this was all about the structure of the human ear. In my next section of the presentation, we'll be studying about the mechanism of hearing, that how we hear sound waves. Okay, so till then, stay tuned and keep watching Edupedia Word videos.